So, we've learned the final part of Spire of Stars, but how about the actual entrance? Yeah, we should probably get to that too. Well, let's do it. Team composition for the opening of Spire of Stars does not matter whatsoever, but classes that have roaming supers will be pretty good here due to all of the adds. Solar damage is the only damage type you will need, as there are only solar shields in the entire raid layer. For the first encounter, you can basically use any weaponry that you want, although close range weapons aren't too bad given that this is an encounter without a boss, but it is entirely up to you. The goal of the entrance is to throw a charged ball into the center purple glowing thing 3 times. To do this, you'll need to bring down the shield that guards it by having people stand on 4 pillars that will rise when stood on, but gradually will come down and need to be brought up again. Start by splitting your team into a pentagon type shape. You'll have 4 people on individual plates and 2 flex players, one at the top of the area and one at the bottom. Let's cover the pillar mechanics. In order to have your pillar go up, you need to be standing on it, simple enough. When you're not standing on it, it will slowly start to go down. This is your failure condition. If it reaches the ground and stays grounded for too long, you will wipe. The redder your screen is, the more in danger that you are. So what's preventing you from just standing on the pillars forever? Well, each pillar has an engulfment debuff where you need to stand. Engulfed is a debuff that will kill you if you don't get rid of it, and the way to get rid of it is to be holding onto a ball. When you're holding a charged ball, that is to say a ball that has been picked up by a player who was engulfed, you'll start to gain stacks of greed. If this debuff ever reaches 11, you die. So what you need to do to stay alive and have your pillar go up is have someone throw you the ball, then you hop onto your pillar, have it preferably go all the way up, get off the pillar, and then throw the ball to the next person waiting. The ball does have a despawn timer if thrown on the ground. So a worst case scenario would be to throw the ball on the ground if you're about to die, if you can't get it to somebody else. To start the encounter, you grab the ball, get an engulfed debuff, and throw it at the center console. Here's how one rotation might work. Player 1 is at the top, being a flex player. They will grab the ball, which spawns at the top of the map area, to throw to player 2, who is waiting at a nearby pillar. You can go in either direction, by the way, clockwise or counterclockwise. Player 2 will grab the ball, hop onto their plate, ride it to the top, and then throw the ball to player 3, or the flex player who would throw it to player 3. Player 3 would get on their plate, ride it up, and then throw the ball to the next pillar player. This process continues until the shield is removed from the central console, in which case the ball should be thrown at it, much like how you start the encounter. Then, you do that 2 more times. Note that if you throw the ball at the center console before it gets back to the person who started, you should get the new ball to the player you left off on. So if the 3rd pillar in the rotation rides it to the top and then throws it at the center console, the new ball that spawns should go to the 4th pillar and not the beginning. Now, during this entire time, you're going to have waves and waves of adds spawning basically everywhere, so while you're not doing anything with the ball, you should be killing as much as possible, along with more lethal enemies spawning every so often, like gladiators and colossus, mainly towards the end of the encounter. The northern flex player should be the liaison between the 4th and 1st pillar, although you can just throw the ball over the center console. It's just a tough throw to do if you don't know the angle. The southern flex player probably won't need to do much other than kill adds, but is there to help in any way possible. This encounter is entirely about practicing the ball and engulf mechanics to get you acquainted with them for the final encounters. Again, roaming supers are good here, Dawnblade, Arcstaff, any supers that last a long time. Here's a quick example of the ball going around.
We going clockwise or counterclockwise?
He's getting more diabetic.
Reverse it each rotation.
I'm down.
Kappa.
But my thing, I'm reverse it.
I'm going to put my thing down, flip it, and then reverse it.
Alright, PG, prepare to receive Okay.
Are you dead already?
That was at least 3 feet away from me, but okay, game.
Alright,
Okay.
we got a man down. Getting flinched. Alright, am I throwing this over the top or what am I doing? Sure,
Just
try it.
Whatever you
Kobe.
want. I'm not even looking
It's
over there.
possible, dude. It's fine.
Alright, ooh. Nice.
I implicitly trust everyone
Hey,
involved.
nice.
The next encounter is a jumping puzzle, but we'll cover the secret chests here too. To get across, you just need to get across. You need 3 people to reach each checkpoint in order to activate the bridges that get you to the next section. The first secret chest is after the second lever, not counting the initial lever you pull to start. Instead of continuing down the main path, from the lever room, jump up to the platform above you and then go out the doorway to the fan blades. You're just going to climb up the right side of this pillar until you get to the chest. It's pretty simple. The second chest is at the very end, but it requires you to throw a ball into a power node that you need to carry through the entire jumping puzzle. Fortunately, the checkpoints also apply to the ball. Throwing a ball into a power node where the levers are activates these checkpoints. The ball does need to be charged in order for it to work. To get the ball to spawn, walk out of the room with the initial lever that you used to activate the jumping puzzle, go to the right and look straight up. You need to look literally directly up. Shoot out the vents shown here. Then you'll shoot out a nearby wall panel with a bunch of small glowing lights. This is the thing that activates the ball. The wall panel is to the right of the vents if you're looking at the vents on the side of a pipe. How you get the ball to each checkpoint is up to you. You can carry it the whole way with your entire team, you can do some long throws to skip it, whatever. Here are some clips of some long bomb throws that you can do from each checkpoint, along with the angles that you need to throw the ball. When you get to the end, instead of going to the right to the next encounter, go to the left and the power node is around the corner. Important to note that this chest will drop an actual item, not just an engram, so you do want to get this one. Part 1 of the Val Ca'uor fight serves as an introduction to the final encounter. This is essentially the easy mode of the fight. The goal is to destroy the 3 ships that are outside. To do this, you'll need to scout which symbol is being displayed out in space, arm the correct weapon based on that symbol, and then use a charged ball to destroy the ship. First, let's talk about the layout of the room. If you have already seen the Val Ca'uor Part 2 encounter, then this will not be new information. On the outer part of the room, we have 4 plates which activate the tractor beam. My team calls these target plates or bullseye plates. All 4 plates must be stepped on at the same time in order for the tractor beam to activate. You'll use the tractor beam to scout and destroy the ships. Then on the inner part of the room, we have 3 symbol plates. We called these tree, ring, and sword for left, middle, and right respectively, but as you memorize the symbols, you can just call them left, middle, and right. All 3 must be stepped on to activate the doorways that are in front of them, revealing the power node that you need to throw the charged ball into in order to activate the weapon. We'll talk about that in a minute. Slightly above the symbol plates are the engulf or charge plates. These are important for charging the ball to throw into power nodes and to charge the ball to throw at the ships outside. Finally, on the main plate in the center of the room is the tractor beam. Before starting, assign 2 groups of 3, 1 group left and 1 group right. Then, of those 3 players, assign 2 of them to a bullseye plate and then have 1 flex player. This flex player will cover the bullseye plate if a bullseye player needs to go up the tractor beam. The fight can be divided up into 3 steps: scout, arm, destroy. The first step is to scout the ship via the tractor beam. Random players will be given the superior retainer buff shortly into the encounter. Only players with this buff can enter the tractor beam, which you need to go into to see which weapons need to be armed. So, determine who has the buff and then send one player up the tractor beam with flex players covering if need be. The scout will then say which weapon needs to be armed via the symbol that's being shown in space. For example, if it's the ring-like symbol, that means middle. When you find out which weapon needs to be armed, one person, any person, needs to grab a ball, get engulfed via the charge plates, or vice versa, and then throw the charged ball into the correct doorway. The symbols on the ships correspond with the symbols on the symbol plates. If you do this correctly, the name of the weapon will show up in the bottom left-hand side of the screen. For the purposes of this encounter in particular, the name doesn't actually matter. Once you get this to show up, that means the weapon is armed, and people should go back to their bullseye plates. Ideally, the same person who scouted will now be destroying the ship in order to reduce confusion of who is going and who is not going. Again, only retainer players can enter the tractor beam. The retainer player will grab the engulf debuff off of a charge plate along with the ball, go up the tractor beam, and throw the charged ball at a ship. If done correctly, you'll get a big damage number and it'll say ship destroyed. You need to repeat this process 2 more times to finish the fight. Every time you arm a weapon, a wave of majors will be spawning in. Just be aware of that, as you will occasionally be left vulnerable since you need to stand on plates without any cover. Killing all of the adds in the room will trigger the next scout, arm, and destroy phase. After all 3 ships go down, you'll be on to Val Ca'uor, where you will take everything you've learned during this raid and crank it up to 11. Thanks for watching, and good luck.